welcome to today's video. We are doing a thrift flip. It is my first thrift flip that I will be filming. I shop at thrift stores, yard sales, and estate sales all the time, and I incorporate those pieces into my home, but this is the first time I will actually be bringing you along and filming the process. I just went to Habitat Restore, which is a kind of a thrift store in my area that sells a lot of materials for building a home, but they do have a lot of interiors as well. So a few things that I picked up right here. The first thing that caught my eye were these placemats. I'm pretty sure they're like indoor-outdoor placemats. I think they are bamboo. The back side is not finished, but the front side has like a little bit of a shellac on them. I was thinking it would be pretty cool if I used these around a base and maybe used it as a flower vase or for candles. $1 a piece. The next thing I grabbed was this beautiful vase. Originally from Pier 1 for $12, but I got it for $3. This caught my eye because I really like the shape of it. It's very simple. It reminds me of like an old-timey water jug. And I kid you not, later on that night I was flipping through Vogue and I found something that reminded me of this, and we are going to try our DIY version of this really expensive vase. Next up, I found this little ditty. I don't know what it is, but we are going to take the cork out, give this little thing a facelift, and then turn it into a beautiful little bud vase. Now this thing stole my little heart. It's so cute, so simple, pretty perfect as it is. It was $1, and the best thing about this is it was made by Michael in 1999. Don't know who Michael is, but your artwork is living on, my dear. Please subscribe and join the Whitney fam and ring that little ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. Ring that bell, because YouTube is not showing my videos to anyone. Are you guys ready to get making things? Because I am, so let's go. The first project I'm gonna start on is working with these bamboo placemats. I'll be using one whole mat to go around this larger jar, and I will be cutting the second mat down so I will have kind of a tiered three-piece system for this. We are switching design choices because this is what happened when I cut it apart. But these little pieces individually are pretty cool, and I have an idea. So when you cut off this little plastic thing, that's what binds every single one of these pieces together. So you can't really cut sections. Plan B, let's go. This is a drawer, I think, to a system from IKEA. I found this in the basement. So what I'm gonna do is stain this up and then do this little kind of brick pattern in the back. Since the tiles don't reach all the way to the ends, I will be incorporating some of this rope as like an edging around the inside. I'm just lightly sanding down the polyurethane coat, and if you wanted to completely remove this shiny coat, an orbital sander would probably be your best option. Now, stain is not going to penetrate nearly as well as if this were sanded down completely. A quick tip to stain semi-sanded polyurethane wood is to go quite a few shades darker than you'd like, and then let it set for a good 10 to 15 minutes before you wipe it off. I am using Jacobean in the Minwax brand. We got all of our tiles glued down in there, and now it is time for this nautical rope. So I kind of played with this, and if I just kind of put it along the side and then make a little corner and turn it, I don't really like how just a bent corner looks. I think it makes it look a little bit cheaper. And there is enough room on both of these sides over here for the rope to kind of smush down in between the wood and the tiles. So what I'm going to do is cut 2 strips for these 2 sides, glue them and tuck them in, and then for the top and bottom I will cut a strip that will lay kind of over the 2 sides. In order to make the ends a little bit cleaner for the top and bottom strips, I will be using some of this merino wool yarn and wrapping it around the end really tightly so it'll kind of finish that rope off. I will show you a little bit more how I'm going to do that in a minute. But right now I'm just going to cut my rope strips and get them placed in. Now let's finish the ends of our top and bottom ropes. To do this, first start by making a loop at the top and making sure to leave a tail at the bottom. Start wrapping your yarns around the loop pretty tightly and close to each other. I learned how to do this from Lone Fox's channel. If you haven't checked out any of his videos, please do so. He is an awesome DIYer. Now when you're satisfied with the length of binding you want, thread the end yarn you were just wrapping with up through the loop and then pull both that end yarn and the tail yarn you left at your bottom, and this will knot them together underneath the wrap. And now you can cut your threads off and you have a clean, finished binding. So the next project is going to be this water jug vase. This was the vase I found later on that night that I was telling you about. So we're gonna kind of recreate something like this. And then I was at H&M looking in their home decor section, and they have one that is kind of similar. First, gonna be spray painting this bad boy up with some satin smoky beige spray paint, and then I will just be using acrylic paint to do some sort of abstract face structure thing on here. This vase turned out really nice, and now we are going to design our sketch for the front of it. This is the Venetia berry vase that I saw in Vogue that really kind of inspired this whole shebang. So I'm going to take some inspiration from this and then just sketch out my own design. So I'm really loving this like eyebrow nose detail. So I think we're going to keep that in there. So nose like this, and then for the eyeball, I think we're just gonna do like a little squiggly over here. And then for this eye, I do really like the vertical eye, but we're gonna kind of like Picasso it up a little bit. So 2 lines, and then maybe like a full circle in the middle. And then maybe some little droppies like that. And then for the mouth, we'll just do like a little mouth outline, and then maybe like a little bottom lip like that. When you're taking inspiration from other people's artwork, you don't want to exactly copy it. Just, you know, you can take the basic idea and the composition of it, but make sure it's your own, because this person worked really hard on her design, so we want to give credit to her. And you know, if you're inspired by it, awesome, but make sure that you recreate it into your own thing. This is mostly going to be in the front, so I think I'm going to do some ears, but maybe like backwards ears, and maybe just like coils like this. It might be kind of fun to do some like an upside down earring, and then maybe kind of match it over here like that. And then on the very back, maybe just like a squiggly, and that will be like her hair. I'm just gonna go in with a pencil and just kind of like outline where I want this design to kind of be. For painting supplies, I'm just using white, black, and some yellow ochre. back area looks a little empty. So what if we just did like dots down the side? I plucked all of these reeds out of the wetlands in the back. I'm gonna cut them down and put them in our vase. Now for this little jug that has a cork lid that I'm going to be turning into a bud vase, I'm going to be spray painting it up in stone gray satin spray paint. Now, I have a ton of paper bark birch trees in my backyard, and their bark kind of rips off horizontally like paper. So this is part of the birch tree bark. I might do a little like Mod Podge applique on the outside once I get this spray painted, but we're gonna play with that and see if it's gonna look cool or if it's gonna look not cool. If I end up doing this and it looks good, if you can't get your hands on any actual real birch bark, you can always buy a scrapbook paper that looks like birch bark and kind of do the same thing. I also got this nautical rope from the dollar store, which I'm thinking about kind of threading it through the handle and then maybe hanging it somewhere. To get any of this like sticky residue stuff off, you can use this stuff called Goo Gone. It is a miracle worker. Just put a little bit onto a paper towel. Rub it on there. And voila, it is gone. Brand new. This is looking pretty good. I'm just gonna go in and do one more light coat to kind of fill in these holes here and cover up some of this red. And this is some of that birch bark that I kind of ripped into different strips. So what I'm thinking of doing is gluing these down and kind of Mod Podging over it. So what I'm going to use is this rubber cement to just kind of secure it onto the vase, then just some Mod Podge and a paintbrush to brush over it to kind of seal it up. Instead of just letting it hang like this, I'm going to be adding some jute twine around here to kind of bind it together and give it a little bit more of a finished look. I'm going to do the same thing here as I did on the rope ends for the tray. Make yourself a little loop like this and make sure you leave that little tail out, and then start wrapping your twine pretty tightly and close together. And now when we get to here, we loop it back through the little loop. And then you pull your little tail tight. You can trim these off. And you have a clean, finished little binding. Make sure they are even, and then fold them over. then do the very same thing with more twine as we did down here. Now we got our little hook to hang it from.